Things happen. Winds rage out of control. Rains push swollen rivers over their banks. Electrical storms wreak their damage. Even the earth moves in some places. No matter where we live, we're likely to be visited by these and other dramatic events that can impact our lives, homes, and communities. And while there's probably no way we're going to change nature or completely keep such things from happening, we can at least be comforted by the knowledge that there are ways, proven ways, to protect ourselves. Maybe even avoid the destruction that otherwise might happen. Building officials throughout the state of Washington do this daily. Disaster prevention is a large part of everyday business at your local building department, on large and small scales as well. Just think how many lives are saved each night through the use of smoke alarms.
Hi, I'm Dean Johnson from the public television series Home Time. Well, building and remodeling is what we're all about. Now, if you've been up to or plan to be up to the same type of thing, building or remodeling a home, a commercial building, or an office complex, obviously you want to end up with a quality product that's worth your time and effort, give you a good return on your investment, and do what it's intended to do. Now, this isn't the time to be cutting corners and avoiding recognized, established procedures to extend its life and usefulness, and make it safe for the people that will be using it. Well, the good news is there's help nearby, as close, in fact, as your community's building department. That's where you'll find an experienced, trained professional who will lend a helpful hand in the sometimes complex but essential area of assuring that a home or business will escape costly mistakes during construction or remodeling. Mistakes that can dramatically reduce a home's lifespan, increase its cost over the long run, and even worse, result in serious injury or death. That person is your local building official, a valuable resource who, as you work together in seeing that all the bases are covered in assuring a quality project, will prove to be someone who will definitely be on your side.
Building official. That's a person in your community who has the responsibility of enforcing the building codes. In Whatcom County, my role involves supervising the counter staff that greets the public, takes in the building permits, does the plan review, issues the permits, then follows through with inspections. Did you know that a new single-family residence requires about 10 inspections? We come full circle when the occupancy permit is issued. We do small remodels to large refinery upgrades, all of the time taking pride in providing excellent customer service in a frequently complex arena. We provide for the safety of construction and the occupants inside of buildings.
In their ranks, you'll find designated public servants, men and women, experts in such fields as building materials, electrical systems, plumbing and mechanical equipment, and fire prevention, to name just a few. In a nutshell, the people whose job is to assure a trusting public that the buildings they use are structurally sound, protect occupants from fire, and meet sanitary, accessibility, and electrical standards.
Building departments are responsible to inspect buildings per code, make sure they're safe for occupancy so people aren't afraid to use them. We also are an important part of the life safety team. When emergencies occur, we have to inspect all city buildings to make sure they're safe for reoccupancy so city business operations can continue.
Now, building or remodeling a structure can be an expensive, sometimes frustrating activity. When deadlines are looming and budgets are being stretched to the max, there may be a tendency to think of the building official as, well, an intrusion, a necessary evil, an enforcer whose main job is to see that strict building codes are complied with, even if it's not immediately apparent how they're even related to the project at hand. But it's probably more accurate to see the building official as a facilitator. That's a much better definition for someone who is really a catalyst who brings everybody together: manufacturer, architect, engineer, contractor, homeowner, business owner, with the sole objective of creating a safe, well-conceived and executed project. The person whose main concern is safety, along with its closely related objective of prevention. It's a concern that extends to practically every place we set foot in our daily lives. Places where we live, eat, sleep, play, work, worship, study, recuperate, or are entertained. It's no exaggeration to say that the building official is probably the one person on the whole design and construction team, whose entire job is key to seeing that our families, friends, working associates, customers, and fellow citizens are protected. And in that sense, he or she is someone whose critical importance to the health and welfare of any community, that's us, simply can't be overstated. Clearly, it's a big job and a huge responsibility. Well, how does that building official go about fulfilling that responsibility? Let's take a closer look. To begin with, we can all take comfort in the knowledge that almost every facet in the manufacture, design, and construction of building materials and systems is backed by tested, proven industry standards. And it's these standards that are the heart of explicit building codes designed to protect the public. The building official is a designated person in the community in charge of seeing that the codes, with their primary objective of promoting safety and loss prevention, are understood, accepted, and adhered to by everybody involved in the building process. So it stands to reason that the building official is the most knowledgeable person on the team, the critical element when it comes to understanding the code and keeping up to date with periodic changes and updates. That's why the others not only rely on this individual to communicate what will and will not work in seeing the code requirements are met, the glue that holds the whole process together. But the job and the building official's value to the construction industry and the community they both serve doesn't stop there. Even after the project is completed and the doors are open, the building official's influence is felt in many areas.
Several members of the Washington Association of Building Officials participated in the relief program in response to the devastating hurricanes of Katrina and Rita. Not only are they members of the Washington Association of Building Officials, but they're also your neighbors, friends, and work within your jurisdiction. And for that, the governor of the state of Washington recognized their efforts and awarded the jurisdiction and the employees a certificate of appreciation for the volunteerism that they participated in. And those were 2-week deployments. Several participated more than once. And for that, we should all be thankful.
In the course of fulfilling their duties, building officials maintain careful records that provide statistics about each project they're involved with. Now, these records, which give an overall picture of how efficiently a community's building codes are working and being complied with, are a valuable resource to people who can substantially influence a building's overall cost in the long run.
The buildings in Seattle are very complicated buildings. They do need a lot of review. We try to get the review done before on the plans so that the inspectors are checking the plans and don't have to do the engineering in the field. We do have employee engineers in Seattle to look at the plans. We also have architects, and so there's a level of professionalism that's needed to look at the complex buildings, to check to the complex codes that we work with. WABO is a really big help in terms of educating us. We can send people to education conferences with them. WABO is also helps in promulgating the standards so that we have consistent standards across the state. In relation to the fire department, we like to say that we save the lives before the fire department has to go into the building.
The Washington Association of Building Officials is part of a larger organization called the International Code Council. International Code Council is a nonprofit organization that is nationwide. It's made up of building officials from around the country who gather at annual meetings to develop codes, address changes throughout the country from tragedies such as hurricanes or earthquakes, and those codes are put together in a model code which Washington State adopts on a 3-year basis through the State Building Code Council. ICC also provides interpretations of codes to our local building officials. They have the opportunity to get expert opinions on the people who actually write the codes and develop the codes. And through that, we also have training opportunities that ICC provides to local building officials.
A property owner who can show that code requirements were strictly and consistently met, as demonstrated by building officials' records, has a strong ally if something happens to trigger a potentially destructive lawsuit. It's a picture we've seen far too often on our television screens in recent years. The heartbreaking devastation that has visited entire communities in widespread areas of our country. Maybe there's no way these scenes will ever be erased entirely by even the best, most carefully followed building codes, but looking at them can certainly increase our motivation and resolve to do things right the first time when it comes to building or remodeling a private home or public facility. So if you or your organization are contemplating such a project, whether now or in the future, Experience makes it clear that you'll want to bring your community's building official into the picture as soon as practicable. How do you go about doing it? Here's a suggestion. Schedule an early visit to your community's building department.
Many folks fear that a visit to the building department may be something like this. With support of administration and the community, it should look much more like this.
Pretty good. How are you doing? Pretty good. What are we doing? I'd like to see it. So it's a new house? We're residents. It's a new house. Right. So wondering where... Oh, great. Yeah, it looks very good. Looks like you got your house right there. All of the, looks like it's to scale. Yeah, get your elevation on.
Throughout the state of Washington, but especially here in Whatcom County, we pride ourselves on building safety. And this is made possible through the support of our building officials by the local administration as well as the entire community. I believe that these collaborative working relationships enable us to accomplish more effective and efficient permitting while at the same time providing excellent customer service that ultimately leads to a safer community. As technological advances create new materials, building inspectors need to have proper training and certifications to keep current with the industry, update the codes, and understand the new methods of construction. Now, additionally, advanced training and certifications also bring the community a better insurance rating, and that's very important to the whole community. It saves the taxpayers a lot of money every year. So encouragement and support of this kind of training is extremely critical and crucial to the success of any building department.
Once a work has begun and at various times during the process, the building official or another qualified expert visits the site for periodic inspections, making certain that code requirements are being complied with and keeping department records of the work up to date. In a large project, it's not unusual to have as many as 10 or more on-site inspections, covering such important areas as fire protection, exiting, structural strength, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and sanitation systems, type and degree of insulation, and the ground under and around the project. Finally, and again this applies primarily to newly constructed buildings intended for public use, or buildings which have been remodeled to adapt to a change in use, the building official will issue a certificate of occupancy once it has been determined that the building can be safely occupied. And that's a quick look at the process. As you can see, the building official is an important cog in keeping the machinery functioning smoothly through issuing permits, making recommendations, keeping accurate records, and even acting effectively as an arbiter if disputes rise up between parties involved. Now, these are just a few of the arguments for giving the building official his or her due as a vitally important team member. In the whole scheme of things, in fact, it's no exaggeration to see the building official as every bit as critical to public safety as firefighters and police officers you rely on so unquestioningly in seeking a safe community for the people who are important to you.
One of the things I have appreciated as being a member of the State Building Code Council is listening to the various jurisdictions come in with their particular problems and with building officials and engineers and architects. And I think the important thing is that we do not want to weaken that code. If a particular jurisdiction wants to improve it, then there are reasons they must give us to make the code more restrictive. But we will not weaken that code for the health and safety of the citizens of our state. It's an excellent group, one that I have enjoyed the past 3 years. I've appreciated being on it and the support that other organizations have given us, such as WABO.
Here's the bottom line. If you're involved in a construction or remodeling project, get to know your building official. It just makes sense to have a skilled, trained professional working with you, sharing your concerns about getting the job done right the first time, with safety as a primary concern. This way you can be assured that all your bases are covered, thanks to the expertise of a person who, by the act of doing his or her job, is on your side.